السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نكمل في كتاب تاريخ الأدب العربي لأحمد حسن الزيات. الآن الصفحة 149. الخنساء المتوفاة سنة 24 للهجرة حياتها. My peace be upon you. This is a continuation of the book authored by Ahmad Hassan الزيات. The book is called تاريخ الأدب العربي, the history of Arabic literature. And this book is basically, we studied it in schools. It's a textbook basically, and it's a great reference that summarizes a lot of the key authors, poets in the Arabic literature history. This page is about AlKhansaa. She died in the year 24 of Hijri. Her life. هي السيدة تماضر بنت عمرو بنت الشريد السلمية. She's the lady Tamadur, daughter of Amru, son of Al-Sharid, Al-Sulamiya, from an area called Al-Sulamiya, or a tribe. والخنساء لقب غلب عليها. الخنساء is a title or a nickname that she was known mostly by. نبتت في دوحة الشرف. She grew up in the Doha, or in the oasis of honor. وازدهرت في روضة الفضل. And she flourished in the heaven. Rawda, the modern definition of Rawda is kindergarten, but here Rawda is a place that is full of flourishing and flowers, and it's like grove or a heavenly place. وازدهرت في روضة الفضل, and she flourished in the grove of grace. فكان أبوها وأخواها معاوية وصخر سادات سليم أو سليم من مضر. Her father and her both brothers, Muawiyah and Sakhr, were of the gentlemen, of the leaders, of the masters of Mudar. That's the tribe of Mudar. وكانت بارعة الجمال والأدب. She was of supreme brilliant beauty and politeness. Al-adab here means literature. It also means the behavior of someone, of politeness, of supremacy. فخطبها دريد بن الصمة سيد هوازن وفارس جشم. Duraid, son of As-Simma, proposed to her, and he was the master of Hawazin, a tribe, and Faris Jusham. فردته, she declined. وآثرت التزوج في قومها, and she preferred to marry of her own people or tribe. ولما قوض الدهر ركني بيتها بموت أخويها معاوية وصخر, when the time undermined the two corners of her home by the death of her both brothers معاوية and صخر. جزعت عليهما أشد الجزع. She felt sad and mourned them, the most severe of mourning and anxiety. وبكتهما أحر البكاء, and she cried for them the hottest of crying. ورثتهما بأبلغ الرثاء, and she lamented them with the most eloquent of lamentations. ولا سيما صخر, especially صخر, لما بلته من كثرة إحسانه, because of how much she had experienced from him, how much he was of a charity, of good behavior and beneficent. وشدة حنانه, and of how much he was tender and good, kind-hearted. وقوة جنانه, and the strength that he had. ثم وفدت في قومها على الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم فأسلمت. Then she came in her people. She came to the messenger, upon whom God's peace and blessing, and she converted to Islam. وأنشدته فاهتز لشعرها واستزادها بقوله هي يا خناس, and she recited to him her poetry, and he was shaken for her out of her poetry, and he asked her for more by saying, "Oh, خناس." وكان في الظن أن تنهنها الخنساء بعد إسلامها دموع الجزع على أبيها وأخويها تعزيا بالدين وعزوفا عن سنة الجاهلية. It was thought that AlKhansaa would stop eventually after becoming a Muslim the tears of anxiety and mourning for her father and her two brothers, as taking solace in the religion and stopping or giving up the path of الجاهلية, the pre-Islamic era. إلا أن وجدها على صخر, except that her emotions, deep sorrow emotions for صخر, her brother, كان وراء الصبر وفوق العزاء, was way beyond, exceeding the patience and above the solace. فلم تزل تبكيه وترثيه حتى ابيضت عيناها من الحزن, and she kept crying for him and lamenting him until her eyes got white or whitened due to sorrow and sadness. وكانت تقول كنت أبكي له من الثأر وأنا اليوم أبكي له من النار. She used to say, I used to cry for him due to revenge, and now I cry for him due to fire or fearing from fire. على أن السن والزمن والدين ما زالت بهذه الكبد القريحة حتى اندملت. Although that the age, lifetime, and the age or time and religion are still in this sore liver until it has gotten healed. فوجدت الخنساء في شيخوختها آسيا من روح الله ومواسيا من فضله. Eventually, الخنساء found in her old age some solace from the soul of God and some consoling of His grace. فتقبلت مصرع بنيها الأربعة صابرة محتسبة، وقد حرضتهم على القتال في حرب القادسية فاستشهدوا جميعا. Hence, she accepted the death of her both sons in patience and in wisdom and in wisdom. وقد حرضتهم, and she had encouraged them. حرض, provoke or encourage or entice. She encouraged them to fight in القادسية war, and they eventually they became were martyred, all of them. فلم تزد على أن قالت: الحمد لله الذي شرفني بقتلهم، وأرجو أن يجمعني بهم في مستقر رحمته. ثم توفيت بالبادية عام 24 للهجرة. So she did not add more than saying thanks and praise is to Allah who honored me with their death and their being killed, and I hope that He will gather me or reunite me with them in the مستقر is the place where you settle, so in the settlement of His mercy. ثم توفيت بالبادية, then she died in البادية. البادية is the nomad or desert place. عام 24 للهجرة, in the year 24th Hijri. Page 150. شعرها. الصفحة 150. Her poetry. ليس في شواعر العرب قبل الإسلام وبعده من تفوق الخنساء في رصانة شعرها ورقة لفظه وحلاوة جرسه، ولربما ضارعت في هذه الصفات الشعراء الفحولة. There aren't in the poets of Arabs prior to Islam and after it who exceed, but exceed here, the verb that is used is for female, not for just males. So I'm not sure if it's on purpose or not. Who exceeds AlKhansaa in the rasana. It comes from being strong and all held together. The strong built of her poetry, and also the delicacy of the words or the etymology, the vocabulary, and the sweetness of its melody. الجرس is basically the harmonic melody of words put together in the form of poetry. ولربما ضارت في هذه الصفات, and perhaps she matched in such features the seasoned great poets. ويرى النابغة وجرير وبشار أنها أفضل من الرجال لما في شعرها من قوة الرجولة ورقة الأنوثة. So those great poets, النابغة, جرير, and بشار, find that she is better than men due to what's in her poetry of the strength of manhood and the tenderness of feminism. وقد غلب في شعرها الفخر والرثاء. In her poetry, pride and lamenting prevailed. أما الفخر فلأن أباها أمثل فومة وأخويها خيرا مضر. The pride is because her father is the most supreme of his أمثل قومه. I think there's a missing dot here. أمثل قومه is the most prominent in his and is a good example of his in his tribe or his people, and both her brothers are the best in مضر. وأما الرثاء, as for lamentation, فلفجعتها فيهم وطول وجدها عليهم. It's because of that she lost them, and that she had the calamity of losing them, the bereavement in them, and the length of being mourning them and feeling sorry for them. والأسى يدق الشعور, and the sorrow knocks the feeling. ويرق العاطفة, and it makes the emotions thinner and tender. ويفتق القريحة في الرجل, and we're all talking about the sorrow. It also rips the soreness in the man. And how is it then to a woman? فكيف به في المرأة؟ وكانت لا تقول إلا البيتين أو الثلاثة قبل مقتل أخويها، فلما قتلا فاض الدمع من عينها والشعر من قلبها، فأتت في رثائها بالمعجب المعجز، وظلت الخنساء في شعرها بدوية جاهلية، فلم تتأثر بالإسلام كثيرا ولا قليلا. She used to not to say except one or two lines of poetry, or two or three lines of poetry prior to the death of her two brothers. When they were killed, the tears flooded out of her eye, and so did the poetry out of her heart. فأتت في رثائها بالمعجب المعجز. Thus she came in her lamentation with wonders and miraculous. وظلت الخنساء. الخنساء remained in her poetry a pre-Islamic Bedouin, as she was not affected with Islam much, not much, not little, more or less. نموذج من شعرها, a pattern or a sample of her poetry. قالت ترثي أخاها صخرا: عيني جودا ولا تجمدا، ألا تبكيان لصخر الندى، ألا تبكيان الجريء الجميلة، ألا تبكيان الفتى السيدة، رفيع العماد طويل النجا، رفيع العماد طويل النجاد، ساد عشيرته أمردا، إذا القوم مدوا بأيديهم إلى المجد مد إليه يدا، فنال الذي فوق أيديهم من المجد ثم انتمى مصعدا، يحمله القوم ما عالهم وإن كان أصغرهم مولدا، وإن ذكر المجد ألفيته تأزر بالمجد ثم ارتدى. My eyes, be generous and do not get frozen. Don't you cry for the rock of dew. Sakhr means rock, and that's her brother's name, which means a rock. So don't you cry for the rock of dew. Don't you cry of the bold, beautiful one. Don't you cry of the young man who was the master, who was of the high status, of the tall stature, who prevailed and became a master in his tribe, and he was still has not developed full hair on his facial hair. If the people extend with their hand, إذا القوم مدوا بأيديهم إلى المجد مد إليه يدا. If the people or the tribe extend with their hand towards glory, he extends to it a hand. فنال الذي فوق أيديهم من المجد ثم انتمى مصعدا. And he ends up acquiring, winning, gaining that is what is above their hands of glory, and then he belongs ascending. يحمله القوم ما عالهم وإن كان أصغرهم مولدا. The people, the tribe, load on to him or have him bear what was too much for them of calamity, of hardship, even though he was the youngest of birth amongst them, the birth of them. وإن ذكر المجد ألفيته تأزر بالمجد ثم ارتدى. And when glory is mentioned, you find him wearing on the glory and then putting on his clothes. ارتدى the modern definition that he put on clothes or he wore something above him, but there's also the root of the word. There's a radiya, which is death. So I'm not sure if it means here that he wore the glory, then he died. That's a possible interpretation as well. Page 151, we continue with الخنساء, samples of her poetry. وقالت ترثيه أيضا: ألا يا صخر إن أبكيت عيني فقد أضحكتني زمنا طويلا، دفعت بك الخطوب وأنت حي فمن ذا يدفع الخطب الجليلا، إذا قبح البكاء على قتيل رأيت بكاءك الحسن الجميل. She also said, lamenting him as well, "O Sakhr, if you had my eye cry, you had made me laugh for a long time. دفعت بك الخطوب وأنت حي. I pushed away calamities with you, like you defended me while you were alive. فمن ذا الذي يدفع الخطب الجليل." And now, who would be pushing away the most painful and greatest of calamities? And I think she's indicating his death. إذا قبح البكاء على قتيل. If crying became ugly, crying for someone who was killed became ugly, I find رأيت بكاءك الحسن الجميل. I find crying for you is the beautiful, the handsome. وقالت ترثي وتفتخر. Also she said in lamenting and priding: تعرقني الدهر نهسا وحزا وأوجعني الدهر قرعا وغمزا، وأفنى رجالي فبادوا معا فأصبح قلبي بهم مستفزا، كأن لم يكونوا حمى يتقى إذا الناس في ذاك من عز بزا، وخيل تكدسوا بالدارعين وتحت العجاجة يجمزن جمزا، ببيض الصفاح وسمر الرماح فبالبيض ضربا وبالسمر وخزا، جززنا نواصي فرسانها وكانوا يظنون ألا تجزى، ومن ظن ممن يلاقي الحروب بأن لا يصاب فقد ظن عجزا، نعف ونعرف حق القرى ونتخذ الحمد ذخرا وكنزا، ونلبس في الحرب نسج الحديد وفي السلم نلبس خزا وبزا. Well, these are very, this one is a little bit harder with a stronger vocabulary, and for that I will be using from the internet Al-Maani website, and it has in it a lot of the dictionaries that interpret and explain the older vocabulary of that era. تعرقني الدهر نهسا وحزا. The age, the time, or the passage of time has gotten me. تعرقني, the modern definition is to perspire, but I'm sure it's not what it's meant. But let's say that the passage of time has worn me out of let's say okay, نحسا. So it says نحسا. okay. نهس اللحم أخذه بمقدم أسنانه ونتفه للأكل. Like when you bite off food. So I was worn out by the passage of time, by being bitten and also حزن, also the same as being حز الشيء قطعه ولم يفصله. Also bitten and being stabbed. وأوجعني الدهر قرعا وغمزة. And let's say الدهر, it says here as a name, as the lifetime. So the lifetime has caused me pain. In what way? قرعا. We have the modern definition of قرع is knocking, and here also you could say it also knocking or hitting. قرع الدهر بقوارعه أصاب بها. And غمزة, the modern definition of غمزة is to blink, but also it has so many meanings. Not to blink with an eye. One of the meanings that would be meaning here is stabbing. So it's being exposed to and that's a metaphor of being worn out by the calamities or the hard knocks of life. وأفنى رجالية فبادوا معا. So the times, passage of time, has got let's say to أفنى is to perished. So it caused the men of my life or my men to be perished. فبادوا معا. So also badu, another word of dying, disappearing as a result of death, together. فأصبح قلبي بهم مستفزة. Due to that, my heart became with them مستفزة. The modern translation would be provoked. We're not gonna go further than that. كأن لم يكونوا حما يتقى, as if they were not the protectors or the shields that would be feared before when they were around. إذا الناس في ذاك من عز بزة. People in that let's see. We know the Azza is became when with the shield at that time people who were of glory, of good fortune. بس so that's a lot of definitions, but they became hard on them. So when it's a verb, overcome, and if you take people's money, it's like it comes from embezzlement, but here it's overcome. وخيل تكدس بالدارعين وتحت العجازة يجمزن جمزة. These are all, most of these like vocabulary that is not modernly used in modern standard Arabic, to my knowledge, or they're not very familiar. So bear with me. وخيل تكدس بالدارعين, and horses that were stacked. بالدارعين, I would say the ones who are wearing the shields. وتحت العجاجة يجمزن جمزة. Let's say العجاجة. These are Bedouin vocabulary and not very familiar in modern standard Arabic. العجاجة, let's see here. الغبار, الدخان, رعاع الناس وغوغاؤهم وواحده عجاجة. And under either, like it said, either the dust or the smoke or the lowest of people. يجمزن جمزة. يجمزن, the جمزة is the root. Let's see. They جمز الفرس سار سيرا قريبا من العدو. Okay. جمز الحيوان وثب. جمز الرجل أسرع. جمز فلانا في الأرض ذهب. جمز فلانا وجمز به استهزأ به. So I would say that the meaning would be closer to the horse, that the lowest of people, they walk close to the enemy, and Jamza is the it becomes al-masdar of as if to in assurance or emphasizing this word. ببيض الصفاح وسمر الرماح فبالبيض ضربا وبالسمر وخزة. بيض الصفاح, we know البيض used to is indicating the swords. Let's say الصفاح. الصفاح is الحجارة الرقيقة العريضة. Or the piece of metal. So the whitest of the metal, which is indicating the whitest of the white swords. This is describing a scene of battle with horses, with people and shields, with people walking next to the horses, going next towards the enemy, with the white swords and the dark, let's say, the dark spears, وسمر الرماح. So this is the adjective of the noun, also the adjective of the noun. فبالبيض ضربا وبالسمر وخزة. Hence, ف as a consequence of, this is like, it gives you, the fa here, this letter gives you a shifting. It shifts from one image, and then it gives you afterwards what happens, usually as a consequence of that statement before it or the image before it. So with the whitest stuff, or the white pieces of metal, the swords, and the dark spears, you see that hitting with the swords, and picking or stabbing with the dark ones, which is the spears. جززنا نواصي فرسانها وكانوا يظنون ألا تجزى. So the outcome was that we جزة here is like when you shave the wool of the usually when you shave the wool of sheep. So جزة here الفعل جزة، جززت، يجز، أجزوز، جز الصوف قطعها، جز النخلة قطع ثمرها. So it's either shaved or harvested or cut. That is جززة. And نواصية here is جمع ناصية, and usually it would be the front of the head. مقدم الرأس، الناصية مقدم الرأس، الناصية أيضا شعر مقدم الرأس إذا طال. أذل فلان ناصية فلان، أهانه وحطه من قدره. فلان ناصية قومه شريفهم. So the front of the head is it also could be the front lock of the front of the head. الناصية رأس الشارع, it's the head of the street when it's hitting another. So there's all kinds of a meaning, but basically the front of the head. So we cut the front heads, or we harvested the front heads of its knights, الفرسان جمع فارس, وكانوا يظنون ألا تجزى, and they used to think that it would not be harvested or cut, like we said before. ومن ظن ممن يلاقي الحروب بأن لا يصاب فقد ظن عجزا. And whoever thought who meets wars that he will not be injured or hit, he had thought wrong. عجزة like it would say wrong here, but عجزة as a noun would go to مصدر عجزة نسبة إلى العجز وعدم الاقتدار, I would say, أو الخرق. It has so many meanings, but it's whoever thought of those who would meet wars, whoever thought that he will not be hit or injured, he thought wrong. نعف ونعرف حق القرى ونتخذ الحمد ذخرا وكنزا. نعفو, I would say نعفو وليس نعف. We forgive and we know the rights of the let's say we know قرى, but let's see what قرى means. And قرى, this is a great dictionary, by the way, so we don't want the verb, we don't want قرى, we want قرى. قرى is what is ما يقدم إلى الضيف، وقرى أيضا الماء المجموع في الحوض. So we give forgiveness, we forgive, and we know the right of the what is the right of what's being provided to the guest, or the right of the gathered water in a basin, I'm not sure. ونتخذ الحمد ذخرا وكنزا, and we hold gratefulness as let's say ذخرا as a munition, and as وكنزا as and also as a treasure. So being grateful is our ammunition and our treasure. ونلبس في الحرب نسج الحديد وفي السلم نلبس خزا وبزة. And in war we put on the fabric of iron, and in peace or times of peace we put on خزا وبزا. So خزا, like we said, now it's as a noun, so it's usually, let's go to a noun. الخز من الثياب ما ينسج من صوف وبرسيم. الخز من إبرسيم خالص والجمع خزوز. So we wear in peace the fabric of wool, and let's say what بزة as a noun, بز. So nope, let's do it again. بز. Let's go to a noun. Also plural is بزوز, الجمع بزوز, it's kind of a garment also. Also some kind of clothes that is made of cotton and flaxseed, flax, so let's see. Of linen, and so it's two kinds of I guess fancy kinds of clothes at that time. And finally with her page, ومن قولها إن الزمان وما يفنى له عجب أبقى لنا ذنبا واستؤصل الرأس إن أو الراس إن الجديدين في طول اختلافهما لا يفسدان ولكن يفسد الناس. Also, these are two lines of poetry of her. It's a kind of a wisdom. إن الزمان, the lifetime or the time or ages, and whatever perishes in it is a wonder. So it is a wonder about this time and what it perishes. أبقى لنا ذنبا, the time left us a tale. واستؤصل الرأس, and the head was eradicated. So this is mocking how probably that the lowest of people were remained alive, and the highest supremacist are the masters, who are her brothers and her father of in her tribe, in her were eradicated by the passage of time or by the calamities of time. إن الجديدين في طول اختلافهما لا يفسدان ولكن يفسد الناس. This is criticism of the time she's living and the people she's interacting with, obviously. إن الجديدين, I looked up الجديدين, it means the day and night. The two new ones is day and night. So it's like I googled what is al-jadidain. So it's day and night, basically. Despite the length of their difference, or the difference, well, basically not the length of throughout the length of their difference do not get spoiled. لا يفسدان. ولكن, but who gets spoiled is people. So this is criticizing that people around her became corrupted, also spoiled, being corrupted, became corrupted, and that she's suffering of it without the shields of the masters or the prominent people in her life being disappearing by death. So we end with this. It took us a long time because that was tough, and it, like I said, it's a rough translation. We're just doing instantaneous studying of this book. It's a really good book, and it became like an icon. Everybody loves this book, and it was throughout decades taught in schools of Arabic countries by the author Ahmad Hassan الزيات. Later we will be looking at Hassan bin Thabit, page 152. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.